that's fixed in EPS, that's fixed in EPS. And guess what? EPS was never ready for consortium implementation. And we learned that they finally saw the writing on the wall and listened to all the users who were screaming, and some of the people who said, we already have a portal, we don't want your portal, we only want these things. And they actually completely flipped on their development side. And they realized, probably a little bit too late for some people, but certainly later than the industry, that they really needed to be examining what the terminology mostly used is discovery layer interface. And so those are things like Aqua Browser and Endeca and Library Thing for Libraries and some other things like that that you may have heard about that add a different layer in front of your catalog. So like Patrick was talking about, the catalog is a platform. It's where all the information resides. But your user interface that you present to the public may be jazzed up a lot more with things like reader suggestions, RSS feeds, faceted searching, all kinds of great stuff like that. That then when they find what they're looking for, they can click a link, and some of them can do it inline, some of them you have to go then into the catalog to see availability, place hold, etc. We saw a lot of talk and a lot of demonstrations about that new product. They're calling it Enterprise in Detroit, which is really kind of funny because the building was sort of shaped like the Starship Enterprise. I wondered if you saw that. Which came first? But it's actually a really great direction to see the company finally going in. And the previous year, there was sort of a dismal feel about everything about Cersei Dynex because of their changeover in leadership, and a lot of really good people that had been with the company a long time had left or were about to leave, and they were really kind of floundering. They had tried to produce a faceted search product, and their business relationship with the company that produced that dissolved, and they were really kind of trying to find a different partner to produce that. And so from what I've seen, it is a very good product. It takes into account consortium needs, library grouping, item grouping for searching, some really great stuff. And they had hoped to have pricing out to people by now, but they haven't done that yet. But the really good news for us, and which reassures me in the sense that I feel that we are well positioned with our OPAC, is that iBistro is the main platform that they're building that layer to look at. So they have backed off from the idea of using an EPS product. They're actually not, I don't think they're even doing any new installations of that at all. So we're in a good spot, being an iBistro system, and as AKA Wildcat. They're going to rebrand it, so instead of referring to it as iBlink, we're supposed to start calling it eLibrary. That's a little confusing because we have a database called eLibrary, but they didn't seem to care that such a thing existed. So, and then there's eBrewery to make it even worse. But so there's eLibrary, and probably we will try mostly to refer to it as Wildcat so that we don't get y'all confused. So that is really a good thing, I think. And also, what in connection with that, what they're going to do is towards the end of the summer, for all libraries who've upgraded to the new version of Unicorn, which is 3.2.1, which they're now calling Symphony, so if you can keep up, it's going to be called Symphony from going forward. And that's just the ILS, so circulation, catalog, all that, it's going to be called Symphony. So as soon as we upgrade to 3.2.1, they're going to release what they optimistically call a super patch for eLibrary, formerly iBistro. And what that's going to do is kind of bring a lot of the antiquated code that's in iBistro up to standards of today. Do some bug fixes. We should be able to, the biggest thing I think is actually we should be able to show you the library-specific call number on the hit list after that upgrade. They promised. So that may be a mundane little detail in light of the other things we're talking about, but I know that that's really important for y'all that, maybe they don't want to click onto the whole display and get that call number right up there. And if some of you may not be aware, but right now if we show the call number on the hit list when you retrieve results, it's going to show the first library's call number. Even if you're only seeing your stuff, you might get this crazy LC call number. If you're a TUI library, it's really awful. So that's why that's suppressed right now. So I think that we're in a good spot. And some of you may be a little frustrated that we haven't seen much change in iBistro in several years. And that's the real reason, is that we were led to believe that iBistro was going into what a vendor calls maintenance mode, which means they would not add any enhancements to the product. It was just, like if a major bug was discovered, they might fix it. They weren't going to sell it anymore to people. They weren't going to go overboard to try to fix what they consider to be minor problems. So we really, to be honest, had just kind of let it be, and kind of a wait and see what Cersei Dynix going to do. Are we going to start investigating some, like maybe open source discovery layer, something like that? But in light of what they showed us in Detroit, I think we have some more options. And we'll talk about that again a little bit at the opening session too. Yeah, Nancy?
Yes, for e-library, are we still going to have the two distinctions between iBistro and iLink?
I believe so, yeah. And if nothing else, they'll still be, the structure is the same, so we'll be able to suppress certain options like a lot of the libraries have asked for, take these doodads off of the academic interface and so on. So I don't see much change in that respect. But what they're trying to do is bring the style sheet, which is, the fonts and the colors and so forth, and more into line with how they're going to look in the enterprise product so that will kind of integrate more seamlessly. And it kind of remains to be seen as to whether, we still make iLink look more gray and iBistro look more blue. But, that's something we'll find out after we install. They haven't done release notes yet, because really they're the same. They're the exact same. It's just that for academics or any users using the iLink version, we've suppressed some of the more public library-ish options, and it has a little bit more kind of austere look to it, more scholarly. So I think there'll be. I don't think that's going to change, but again, we have to see release notes on the super patch, and we actually don't expect. That's supposed to come out at the end of the summer. What we'll do is put it on the test server, and we'll figure out all of the customizations that we need to rebuild to work into that new version. And at that time, we'll really discover what we're up against. And so it may not be released for production to users until possibly more towards the end of the year. And I'm guessing there'll probably have to be some network discussion, maybe even with like an ad hoc committee or something like we did when we first brought up Web 2 a long time ago, as to when it's released. And we could probably have like a gradual release for people too. If it's not, because it's never the best time for everyone at the same time to do something. In the summer, public libraries have got stuff going on, and in the fall you've got BI sessions going on, and the schools never want it to happen at the end of the year because then they're gone all summer and they don't want surprises in the fall. So what we have to do is really kind of try to time it, or maybe even time it so that you can choose when you want to go to the next version. But there should be some fixes, and we'll have more when we have exact release notes on that. What I wanted to know is, I guess before I start, I'll talk a little bit more about some customizations that we can do now for you if you want, that I've worked with Patrick on. And then I'm going to cover just a couple of things that are a little bit similar. Did any of you come to the general session last year in Torrington where I did kind of a fluff presentation with, Steve was there? Okay. Well, it's kind of along the same lines, if we have time, as what Patrick was. I think we will. What I want to do is just show you real quick. I think some of you realize that there's already some customization in Wildcat for things like, which search libraries you see in the drop-down list on the opening screen. And, if you're dying to have us do something different with this page, I'm open to suggestions. We have not changed our this opening page much. It's also, you're not required to use this page. You don't have to use this page. If you have your own website and you want to take elements out of this page and put links on your own website that do things like go right into your catalog, or build your own databases page, you're welcome to do that. There's no contractual obligation or something to use one of our catalog access pages. And a lot of libraries have moved away from that. In NWC, for